Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Congressional Republicans laugh at Obama for trying to keep campaign promises. 2 weeks ago, congressional GOP leaders reacted to President Obama's initial proposal to avoid looming budget sequestration as though the president had sent them a gift box containing a turd. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell actually laughed out loud at the proposal, and House Speaker John Boehner said he was flabbergasted, that he had never seen anything like it. Which did raise a few eyebrows, seeing as how Obama's offer really contains little other than measures he's previously proposed to Congress or things that he included in his campaign platform. Boehner also complained that Obama's idea of negotiations is to tell Congress to roll over and do what he says. No, John, see, this is how negotiation usually works. One side tells the other side what it wants. The other side takes that, considers it, and makes a counteroffer containing more of the things that it wants. And then you just keep going back and forth until you hammer out something that both sides can live with. Obama's not saying, do this. He's saying, start with this. And I realize that it's confusing for you because traditionally Obama has opened these sorts of negotiations by just trying to give you guys what you want. But that's not usually how it's done. And it's not as if that tactic has worked that well for Obama in the past anyway. This time, he's starting off on the right foot by putting his cards on the table, telling you guys what he wants, and then moving toward compromise from there. And I'm very much hoping that it's something your crybaby orange ass is just going to have to get used to. U.S. Senate rejects UN Disabilities Convention. The U.S. failed to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities when the Senate came up short of the necessary 2/3 majority. Every one of the 38 votes against the treaty came from Republicans who chose anti-UN paranoia ahead of supporting standards for the treatment of disabled people all over the world. Senator James Inhofe rationalized his vote against the treaty by pointing out that the United States already has some of the strongest protections for disabled people of any nation in the world, thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act. Yes, and it's a good thing that the U.S. is the only country on the planet, and there aren't many other countries who might be compelled to raise their own standards for the treatment of their disabled citizens by an international convention supported by a country as powerful and influential as the United States, because otherwise this is just some callous, selfish, embarrassing bullshit. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Likens homosexuality to murder. Justice Antonin Scalia responded to a question from a gay Princeton student about his history of anti-gay opinions by asking, quote, "If we cannot have moral feelings against homosexuality, can we have it against murder? Can we have it against other things?" Ooh, good one. Very insightful. The point isn't, can we have moral feelings against something? I can have moral feelings against UPN for canceling Nowhere Man after 1 season. Still raw about that one. The point is, should we have moral feelings against something? We condemn murder because it harms society, because it robs individuals of their most basic rights. We condemn homosexuality because, well, if you think of a reason, you be sure and let me know. Okay, Your Honor? Michigan loses it. Michigan becoming a right-to-work state was a hot topic last week. Getting less attention was a new anti-abortion bill passed by the Michigan State Senate. Among other things, the bill would ban private insurance companies from covering abortion services and would impose strict new guidelines that could regulate many abortion clinics right out of business. I thought regulation was a bad thing. Anyway, in the wake of its recent anti-union turn, many have observed that Michigan Republicans want their state to be more like neighboring Indiana. But with this new anti-abortion bill, I think it's even worse than that. I think they're shooting for Texas. Congressional Republicans dick around over providing Hurricane Sandy relief. The Obama administration has asked Congress for an additional $60 billion to aid those who are still rebuilding following Hurricane Sandy. But some Republicans, including New Jersey Congressman Scott Garrett, have called the additional disaster relief wasteful spending and have demanded that the Obama administration offset it with additional spending cuts in other areas. One congressional aide, quoted anonymously by The Hill, even wondered if the White House could maybe wait a few months while Congress determined whether or not the additional $60 billion was justified. Look, I'm all for fiscal responsibility. I know that you Republicans are really hung up lately on cutting spending and cutting back on the borrowing, but when you work for the government and someone asks you to help them rebuild following a hurricane, the correct answer is, what do you need? Not, we can't afford it. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.